Good morning and welcome, Paul, to the Show Up and Lead series. We are very happy that you have joined us today. And for our audience, I'm going to invite you to introduce yourself, Paul, and let them know a bit about you.
Good morning, Nancy. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
I just learned that you are Italian, so I had to put it in. My name is Paul Faix. Thank you for having me at your podcast.
You're welcome.
I've been around for 50 years, in Australia for 26. And as you can hear from my accent, I'm originally from Europe. I'm from Slovakia. And when people ask you to introduce themselves, this is kind of very tricky question, especially for people who do a lot of things like I do. All my life, I was trying not to collect the labels throughout my lifetime experiences. So I was a diplomat, I was a businessman, I'm a father, I'm a family man, I'm a community leader, I'm a lot of things. So how do you introduce yourself, someone like that? I would like to tell you that I would like to introduce myself as someone who is helping people so they can do their best work, so they can find the freedom they seek. Why is this important? Because I think that we are all on a journey. We were just chatting about life being an adventure. And I think when you start looking at life as an adventure, then you really start living. Then you really start going like, where do I go? How do I go? There is a hope for today and for tomorrow. And that's what is missing right now in many places. So I think that what would define me is my willingness and my ability and my desire to help people. That's how I want to introduce myself.
That's fantastic. And that leads into that very first question that I ask all of my guests, because as you know, the leadership series is based on my second book, Show Up and Lead. So what does showing up and leading mean to you personally?
For me personally, it means that showing up, everybody is showing up. You're showing up this way or that way. So showing up is not an option. Leading is an option. Now, can everybody be a leader? I asked that question since you invited me to your podcast. Can everybody be a leader? My answer to that is probably no. I think we were born with the different gifts and talents. Does it mean that everybody is actually equipped to be a leader? I'd say no. I'd say no. It's not something that you can learn. It's not something that you can just wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to be a leader. It requires courage. Mm-hmm. It requires the vision. If I'm leading someone somewhere, I have to have a vision where I'm leading people. If I don't have the vision for the people or for the organization, why am I on a leadership position? But before I can lead others, I need to ask myself a question, can I lead myself?
Perfect. I totally agree with you. And I often talk about the notion of self-awareness being important. Can you tell me more about what you do to engage in that self-awareness process?
Well, what I do is I often reflect, I often re-look back at the conversations and things and experiences that I have. In fact, coming here, I called with one of my clients because I probably incorrectly used some of my powers in a negotiation that we had. So I called him and I apologized for doing that. So reflection of understanding who you are is the beginning. Now, leadership, in my opinion, is an invitation. It's an invitation to uncover more about who you are first. And people who don't want to take that self-reflection journey, they should not really go into the leadership positions. They should just say, no, thank you very much. This is not for me. I have been watching the video that friend of mine, Guy Wilson from Queensland, he gave me the link to TED Talk, and it was about givers, takers, and matchers. Yes. Have you seen that video?
Yes, I have. Yes,
I think it's fantastic.
Yes.
I think that video, I just saw it only recently, answered a lot of my questions, and answered a lot of my questions in relation to my team and the people and the givers in my team, and also my client base. I have a client base that the range is from givers and takers, and I always had a difficulty with takers. Because takers are there only to take for themselves.
Correct.
They don't really care about you. They don't care about partnership, about relationship, about anything. Their only mission in life is to take. Now imagine that you promote a taker into the leadership position.
That's a scary thought. But I'm going to suggest to you that that is very common.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because we identify and promote leaders based on their technical abilities, not leadership abilities, because they know certain things maybe, or because there is a lack of workforce, available people who are working, or because we work in a small teams and somebody has to do it.
I agree with you. I often talk about there are lots of definitions of leadership, but certainly I focus on two. Those who are in that transactional space where they work towards ticking boxes and their mindset is always about me, because they're always looking at that next level for the most part. There are some people who don't. And then there are those who are transformational, who are genuinely interested in growing the people that they are leading. And unfortunately, most of the transactional people, certainly in the experiences that I've had in the consulting realm and being in the leadership space for a very, very long time, is this notion of not being able to transition effectively from being someone who's always about themselves and ticking that box and getting accolades for that to someone who then shares a vision, shares a mission, shares values, and their priority is to grow people to be the best that they can be so that they can collectively work together to produce an outcome, and whatever that outcome is. And I'm finding more and more that that's the scariest thing. We're promoting a lot of people who have that technical skill, but we're not supporting them in the development of their soft skills.
Mm-hmm. But it goes deeper than that, because any organization exists.
Yes.
And typically the organization itself have to fulfill the promise, whatever that promise is. So unfortunately, we live in a capitalistic world, which is the only promise is to make money and grow the company. So that's where the banks were charging dead people fees. That was kind of like, okay, well, we need a profit. Okay, let's do whatever we need to do to make a profit. When the takers are running the companies, that's the thing that they expect.
That's true.
So you cannot have, I think you shouldn't have, and you probably won't have, good leaders in the wrong companies. In fact, like attracts like. So if you have a taker as an owner of the company, they will be attracting other takers.
Correct.
And together they will be, excuse my language, screwing everyone and everything over. Their employees, their customers, their relationships, whatever, because there is that inner need to take. They don't have other measurements. Their only measurement is as much as I can take, so that's how good I look, how much profit I have in the banking world. Am I banking delta? In other words, did I create an advantage that can put money into my back pocket? These are the measurements that we're dealing with. And then then we look at the people around and we say, well, why don't you prosper? Why there is no prosperity of the soul? Well, there is no soul in those organizations. And the people leave. The people who really see behind that, they go like, no, I don't want that. And sometimes people should leave. And this is probably the biggest problem. Sometimes people don't leave and they stuck in the positions because of default or because they worked there for all their life. So it takes courage, but good leaders can also change organizations, but it's much more difficult.
Absolutely. It really is. So I'm going to come back to you and your leadership experience. You've had multiple roles that you've shared in your introduction. Tell me about your leadership approach in each of those roles.
Yes. I always examine my motives. And that's what I would encourage every leader to do. It's like, why am I doing this? Am I being in this position because I want to? Or am I being in this position because somebody else wants me to be in that position? So I always examine my motives of what I do and why I'm doing it. And that's also a good start. If you're saying that people are not developing other people, it's because that's not in their motivation. But if they have the motivation, if they have love for people, then yeah, I'm doing this because I want to help someone. So I have a deeper meaning. There is a deeper meaning behind my work. So for me, being a diplomat or being a Slovakian consul for 12 years in Western Australia, there was a reason behind it. When I was asked to be a diplomat, I didn't really know what it means. And I was hoping that my wife will help me in some administration task of that. And you would not need to know, Nancy, I never ever filled in the form in my life prior of me being a diplomat.
Wow.
Because my wife filled all my forms. And I got the role as a consul, and part of the role is to help people to fill in the forms for their marriages, for their children being born, for their passports, you name it. It's a government bureaucracy at its max, right? And I was there in the middle of it. Why I lasted 12 years? I lasted because my reason for being a diplomat was to give back to Slovakian state and Slovakian country for the education and the past and the history that was given to me before I came to Australia. So my motivation, the motivation was to serve people, not to have a title. In fact, if I wanted to have the title, that title is for life. And I gave the title up after 12 years because I did my serve, and then I didn't see the meaning in it to continue in doing that. And then I'm not filling any more forms.
So in your subsequent roles then, how has leadership turned up for you, and how have you supported the growth and development of other people that you've had the privilege to lead?
The longer I'm in a position of leadership, I also run the company. So I started the company 22 years ago. So it's quite an established company now. And I never really truly understood the power of leadership at the beginning. I'll be honest with you, we all have to learn. And because I never worked for a bigger organization that is currently mine, I had to learn on the job. And early days, if you would tell me about leadership and mission and vision and strategy, I understand when people don't have it, because when you are in a survival mode,
correct,
you don't get to think about these things, you know? Like somebody who is in the middle of the lake and can't swim and they're asking for help. There is no point you going to them from the shore and saying, well, you know what, like just kick the legs and then move on the right side and the left side and go there, you'll be fine, you know? Like how come you're not breathing, you know? Like give me a break, I'm trying to survive. And that's what I see. We have to go through that survival stage. Once you emerge outside of the survival stage, then you're finding your own voice. But leadership is a journey to self. It's an invitation to know self before anything else. So you cannot be a leader until you don't go through that journey of understanding who you are. How do you respond? What are your gifts and talents? How do you respond to crisis? How do you find strength? How do you show up, as you say, for yourself first, before others? And for me, I'm a slow learner. It took decades. It took decades. Really? It did. And I have a few team members who are with me for 15 years, so I think they've seen a little bit of transformation there. So you kind of need to grow up. You need to grow up to the point where you can understand yourself and your life, and then you can start looking after others. So how am I leading these days? My 100% of my role is developing people in my company, and I'm able to recognize the area that holds their potential. So I have a gift of seeing what people can do with their life. It's something that part of that vision of the leader. I need to believe and I need to see who you can become. So then I need to believe in you and I need to understand you. I need to take time. I need to go out on a limb to talk to you, to connect with you, and then I can help you if you wanted to be helped, if you wanted to be a leader. So I'm creating a lot of space for my team leaders. In fact, we had a quarterly planning meeting yesterday, which was fantastic. Everybody came, everybody showed up, we were sharing. It's most rewarding thing that I see, and to see how somebody can grow in their role, not because they hitting the goals of the organization. That should be the outcome, and it doesn't always happen. So sometimes the growth is invisible.
Yes.
Sometimes you're growing, but you don't get to see nothing for it.
Correct.
Or you're going backwards. Last quarter, we went backwards. We had a number of clients leave, or some of the clients get into administration. And these are the difficult times where you can see how well the people are equipped to deal with these things, because it's heartbreaking. All our team members are caring for the clients. Yeah. Unfortunately, some of the clients are takers. And I was quite happy to say goodbye and thank you very much for your business. But I'm quite glad that we can have a space for people who are not takers but givers. So, but it's still heartbreaking because people are working hard. They put their life and soul into their work I call it real organizations who really care. And that's my organization. That's the culture that I have.
That's fantastic. So in terms of those individuals who you find may not share your vision or who are going backwards, what are some of the things that you do to support and grow them as the leader of the company, right?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm getting to the stage where I see a lot of need, but it doesn't mean that I should answer that need.
Tell me more about that.
And you see a lot of need as well.
I do. A lot.
A lot. Now, you can be helping someone who doesn't want to be helped. What does it mean for you personally?
What I do is I have a system that I work through. So I go through stages. So I always give opportunities. But then for myself, I sort of draw a line and I'm like, well, I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. I'm now just going to invite them to take the space that they need to do what they need to do. If they come and they say, you know, I've reflected and I really want to do this or go in this direction, absolutely, I do whatever I can to help them. But equally, if they continue to do what they do, provided they're working and fulfilling outcomes, you know, who am I to judge or say anything? But my passion is about growing people to be the best that they can be. And sometimes we need a champion to open our eyes because either our self-esteem is low or we've had things happen where we can't see things for ourselves. And I believe in the power of the champion. When someone says, I believe in you and I know you can do this and I know it's not your skill set right now, but it can be, then I'm really excited for them. And if they're happy to embrace that challenge and move forward with me, absolutely, I do whatever I can. But as you say, not everyone is open to that. So you're literally working with people.
You have to. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. And not only that, you're denying your time to a person who really needs it.
Yeah.
So if you are investing into the people who don't want it to invest, who don't need the help. So these days is really discernment to, is this person on a journey or searching for their freedom or they not? A lot of people find their identities in their difficulties. They don't really want to change. I've been unfairly dealt with. I'm working for these organizations. I'm working in this. I'm living there. I'm traveling this. I'm doing that. So they have 500,000 excuses, why nots.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You can leave them there. You can leave them with their why nots. But the people who make the choice and say, no, you know what? I'm coming. I'm going into somewhere. I want to change my life. I want to move forward. Those are the people. You can find out very quickly if they can be mentored and coached.
Yes.
There are people who you can talk to them for whatever, and they never do anything with their life. They never do anything. They never do anything over and above what their resume or their role description says. These are not the leaders. These are the takers. These are the takers. If somebody comes to you and say, well, that's not on my job description, well, then say maybe we should find a new job description for another company because this is not who we are. I don't say that, of course, like that.
No, I don't think you would.
Because those people, we don't recruit such people. We have a lot of givers in our company. In fact, give you the example. I had a guy, one of my team members, came back from week and a half holidays. And as it turned out, during these holidays, he injured himself. So he was stuck and he did the work behind the computer. Still, his leave were still running. He was still on holidays, but he was doing a lot of good work. So I find out that he's doing the work and I said to him, you better go and take another week off without actually recording it as a leave. You better go and have another week. And if you keep working, then you have another week. I have another team member right now. She's in the US. And I said to her, if you send one email from US, I will cut your access to your inbox. Because you are on holidays. You are on holidays with your family, with your kid. You better go and enjoy yourself. So what you need to do as a leader, you protect the givers in your company because they are the ones who can burn out.
I love that. That's really good. And I'm just mindful of time, but I do want you to share some insight about your book and the purpose and the reach that you're hoping to capture with your book.
Oh, thank you, Nancy. So this is, I wrote this book because we're living in an age where AI and current situation around the world is creating a lot of uncertainty. And a lot of people are struggling, a lot of people are frozen, there is a lot of bad news out there. I wanted to create a book full of stories from my life that can inspire people and help them to build a little bit of resilience, help them to see that life is an adventure, life is up and down. There are things, you make mistakes, it's okay, But it's about that movement. It's about that search for freedom. And I wanted to inspire the readers to mount their own search for freedom. I want them to say, well, you know what, like staying still is not an option. And with AI, it's definitely not an option. So where am I going? Where am I going personally? Where am I going as with the relationships? Where I'm going with my belief and my faith in my leadership journey? And this book hopefully gives a little bit of inspiration from my personal life. So this is not a fiction. Everything there, it's been very hard to write, because when you're writing about the fiction, you can write whatever you like. But when you're writing things about your life, you're putting it out there, and you can't take it back. And you can't write only like, hey, look how good I am. Well, who would want to read that book, right? So you opening up yourself to the possibility that some people say, yeah, look, he didn't know that and this has happened to him and whatever, and a judgment and like piece of art, it will be well received or not. So far, it's been well received. So refugees are reading the book at the moment. People who came to Australia who are in a transition between their own country and being refugee, and they saw the title Search for Freedom, therefore they're reading the book. And I knew only because somebody is giving their own time to help the refugees. And they said, well, if the refugee family is reading the book, I better read the book. So I'd like to present this book to you, Nancy, as well.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll enjoy it, and gives you a little bit of insight into your incredible work with the leadership. And I applaud you for that, because
Thank you.
It's so needed.
Thank you.
It's so needed. And good on you that you're doing that and you want to help as many people as possible. That's fantastic.
Thank you. And can I express my thanks that you've joined us on the Show Up and Lead podcast this morning. I appreciate your insights into leadership, and you're a man with lots and lots of worldly experience. And again, back at you for the work that you do and growing community and supporting people. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.